Hi, I'm Tinny from Mini Bull Design, and today I'm back out in the factory. It's Friday, I think. That makes tomorrow Saturday. So, I got to build inventory tomorrow because there's one order I couldn't send out today because I didn't have all the parts. But everything else is in on the table, and Beth will be shipping it very soon. It's fairly early in the morning. Now, I haven't gone for a bike ride yet this morning because when I got up it was like 52. It's all the way up to 58 now, and we're in August. That's usually the hottest month of the year. Yeah, having a real cold summer. But in the next hour or so, it'll probably get up to 60, and then we'll go for a bike ride. Now, the new stove, the small stove, which I haven't named yet, but I will. I'm going to try to put that in the store in the next day or so. I'm pretty busy, but I think I can get that in there somewhere. And since it can be used with any of the remotes, and I think we decided the SS non-adjustable is probably the best one for that. I'm not going to offer it as a kit. I'm just going to offer just a stove, and most of you probably have an SS remote or a Slimline remote or whatever. And a lot of people have said that for a stove that light, hood's coming apart, for a stove that light they wouldn't want to put it in the can because it adds so much extra weight. And I can totally understand that, because when you get down to Graham Weenie technology, that can is a lead sled. It's over an ounce. Oh my God. But it is heavy compared to the stove. And if you're going to spend money and buy a micro light stove, you gotta walk the walk and talk the talk. Everything else got to be light too. No sense in having a micro light stove and an 8-pound set of shoes. So anyway, I'm going to take just a minute here as kind of a filler and talk just a little bit about stove design. Stuff I've learned that some people have made some comments that this stove, watching the different wicks and stuff, it kind of opened their eyes into the different performance of their stove. Okay. I was watching one of Shug's videos the other day, an old one about all the stoves he had, and he pulled out some Mini Bull Design stoves. I couldn't even remember making. It was so far back. Bongo original high top and everything. Anyway, the point I'm want to get across here is, if far as wick stoves go, if it was as simple as taking a piece of carbon felt, infusing it with alcohol, with a remote feed, then stoves would all be 1/4 inch high and 1 inch in diameter and look like a coaster for put your glass on. I've tried that. It's not that simple. I know a lot of people think it is and wonder why I don't just do that, get it over with, and they feel that all these designs I've come up with are just eye candy, and they're really not required. It's just a marketing tool. Well, okay. The problem with making a stove that's a disc that lays right flat down and just keeps the alcohol from running off the edges is 2 or 3-fold. First off, since there's no heat dam or anything, the nipple for the remote feed has to screw right into the side of the stove. Okay, when the stove heats up, the nipple heats up. When the nipple heats up, it boils the alcohol. That pushes the alcohol right back up the line and it won't feed. That's one problem. And if you see anybody else making remote feed stoves and at some point in time they stop feeding and you can see the fuel pulsing in the line, that means the stove's overheated and it's boiling the fuel and pushing it back up the line. So that's not going to work. You got to have a heat dam between the nipple and the remote feed. If you're using a nipple cap and just squirting it in, you could do that, but then you only have the amount of alcohol that's in the felt to burn off, and you've got to stay right there. You could do that, but you got to stay right there. Okay, that's the first one. Second one is with the felt down setting in a cup. The air can only get to the very top of it. Okay, that's okay, but the problem is it only really burns on the outside edge because the wall of flames going up to the pot keeps it from burning in the middle, and you don't get the performance, all the performance that you could. A turbo top is big enough so it's about right, but if the entire turbo top burned, if you took the sides off of it and just had a little platform underneath it, like I do with the small stove, it would burn twice as hot. It would burn crazy hot. So the point here is the more surface area you have for the wick to be exposed to the air, the hotter the stove burns. And I have used that as a tool to make different temperature stoves. You know, all the way from the Bongo original, and as you change the wick and you know, the turbo tops and the crazy hot tops and all that. Okay, the third thing is the container that the wick actually is in on the top of the stove is going to get hot. And the more surface area you have exposed to the wick on that changes the burn rate too. So depending if it's got a lot of contact with the wick and a lot of area for the air to get in and burn the alcohol, then you've got a really, really hot stove. And I've done that with a small stove. So there's at least a dozen other factors that change your burn rate and the quality you burn and your fuel efficiency and everything else. Now, as far as the gentleman I mentioned the other day, I think somebody posted a link, and I'm not good with names. Good with faces, I'm not good with names. The guy begins with T, and there's like a dozen links there. People find it. Okay. Now, I said his stove reasons. Let's just take the latest one I saw. I don't know if it's his newest one, but he has a copper loop with a wick inside of it. Now, that's a neat stove. It burns great. Doesn't burn very hot. I've made that stove a few times and played with it. Doesn't burn very hot. Most of the heat goes into the tube and goes back down into the stove to heat it up. The rivet nut, rather than spending the money for a crimping tool and crimping that rivet nut, it's JB welded in. Now, the copper tube is also JB welded in place. Now, if you want to go out on the Appalachian Trail with a stove that's held together with JB weld, and not down at the bottom where the alcohol is, but up at the top where all the heat is, and you want to use that for your primary heat source, after you've been out cooking a couple times a day for a week or so, that JB weld is going to turn all white and get all powdery, and the stove's going to fall apart. Not suitable for the Appalachian Trail, not suitable for backpacking. Setting on a table with the lights just right, with about a half an ounce alcohol on the bottom, burning for 20 seconds, fantastic. Guy's building skills, unbelievable. Guy is just an absolute craftsman, good with his hands. I'd like to see his face. I've never seen his face. All I've ever seen his hands. Got nice hands. But that particular stove, it's not backpackable. I've seen another one which was adjustable, and same thing, low heat. You had to be really careful how much alcohol you put in because it wouldn't preheat with so much alcohol. And I can tell you, after it ran for 5 minutes, it's going to overheat and go everywhere and just get nasty. Not suitable for backpacking. I'm Tinny from Mini Bowl Design. Try to have a really great day and try to have some fun today. Bye-bye.